Hi, my name is Isaiah Johnson, and I wanted to talk about the linguistics family tree for my presentation. So first, we need to talk about a language family. And a language family is a group of languages that are related through a common ancestral language, which is called the proto-language. And languages within a family refer to each other genetically. So sister languages have a genealogical relationship with each other. And being part of a language family is determined through comparative linguistics, and I'll get into that a little bit later. There are currently 7,099 living languages, which breaks down into 141 language families. This is a pie chart of the world's language families by percentage. So, as you can see, the biggest percentile is Indo European, which is 46%, and that's like Spanish, English, French. And then you got your Sino Tibetan languages, which is 20%, and that's like Mandarin and Thai. And then you have Niger Congo, which is 6.9%. And that's like sub Saharan African languages, which actually makes up for the highest percentage of languages, not necessarily like percentage of speakers, but the most languages. And then after that, the next biggest is 6.7, which is Afro-Asiatic, and that's like Egyptian and Hebrew and languages in that area. And it breaks into a lot of other categories, but those are the main ones. And I'm going to specifically be talking about Indo-European. So this is the Indo-European family tree. As you can see, it breaks off into a lot of different branches, but I'm going to specifically be talking about European languages. So as you can see, the European languages branch off into three main branches, which is Slavic, Romance, and Germanic. Then they start to form kind of branch clusters, and that's what we refer to as the sisters. So as you can see, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, they're in that same kind of cluster, and those are all sisters. And another example would be, Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. And to be specific, Spanish and Portuguese have an 89% lexical overlap, and that's how you can determine whether or not they're sisters, is a high percent of similarity. And then the question is, how do you determine these relationships, whether or not languages are sisters with each other? And that's through the comparative linguistics. So there's more than one comparative method, but the formats are all pretty much the same, which is step one, assemble a list of cognates. So cognates are words with the same origin. For example, the word body in English is corpo in Italian, cuerpo in Spanish, corpo in Portuguese, and corpse in French. They all share the same root, so that's how you can tell they're cognates. So once you have determined that there is some similarity and you have your list of cognates to kind of refer against, the goal is to determine the origin of the similarities. So why are they similar? And the three reasons are generally either convergence, borrowing, or the fact that they have a common origin. I know we talked about borrowing in class, and I'm pretty sure we talked about convergence, but I'll just give a quick breakdown. So convergence is adopting a speech style that attempts to reduce social distance by using forms that are similar to those used by the person being talked to. Basically, what that means is, for example, if a foreigner goes into an area where a different language is spoken, they will start to adopt some grammatical similarities, some lexical similarities in order to, bridge the social gap, or bridge the communication gap, the language barrier. And borrowing is the process of taking words from another language. So that means, in the same example, if a foreigner came into an area where they spoke a certain language and literally started picking up specific words and putting it in their lexicon, that would be borrowing. And to determine if languages are related or not, if the if the origin of the similarity isn't through convergence or borrowing, then the logical understanding is that they have a common origin and that they are related. So this is just a little chart of cognates of words that are similar and how you can tell that they have similar roots. This is the days of the week for French, Italian, Spanish, and Portuguese. These are all Romance languages. They all stem from Latin, so they're all going to have those same root words. Um, the tree model works really well, but it doesn't really give you a breakdown of the actual languages. So here's a more specific breakdown. So if you look at French, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, those all stem from Latin, which stems from Italic, which is another word for romance, and that stems from the Proto-Indo-European language, which is pretty much the parent language of all European languages. And as you can see, modern English was a descendant of Middle English, which came from Old English. That's Anglo, Germanic, and so on. And that is my presentation. I hope you learned something about the linguistics family tree.